Have you ever worked so hard, for so long, and still seen nothing? No results, no reward, no sign that anything you did made any difference at all. And in that silence, in that long, exhausting silence, a voice inside you begins to whisper, maybe it is not working. Maybe you are wasting your time, Prem. Maybe some people are simply not meant to succeed. If you have ever felt that way, this story is for you, because today we will meet a man who heard that voice louder than anyone, who had every reason to stop, and who chose, for reasons even he could not fully explain at the time, to keep going. Stay with us until the very end, Rivas. Because the lesson inside this story is one that most people only understand when it is too late to use it. In a small dry village at the edge of a great valley, lived a man named Samuel. Samuel was 32 years old. He was not young anymore. Not in the way that allows mistakes to feel like adventures. He was old enough to know exactly what he had lost. Old enough to count the years she had given to a dream that had not yet delivered anything back. For 7 years, 7 long, difficult years, Samuel had been trying to grow something on his land. His land was difficult. The soil was dry and hard. The rains came late and left early. His neighbors had given up on this valley years ago and moved to the city. Even his own brother had said, "Samuel, come with us. There is nothing left in this soil. You are wasting your life." But Samuel had stayed. Not because he was certain, not because he had a plan that he was confident in, but because something deep inside him, something he could not name and could not silence, told him that the land was not finished, that he was not finished. And so every morning, before the sun was fully up, Samuel was already at work. The 7th year was the hardest. The rains did not come at all that season. Samuel watched the sky every morning. Every morning the sky was clear and empty and indifferent. His small savings were almost gone. His tools were worn. His hands were cracked from the dry work. One evening he sat at the edge of his land and looked at everything he had planted that year. Row after row of seeds. Carefully watered, carefully tended, carefully believed in. And almost nothing had grown. A few thin shoots here and there. Not enough to live on. Not enough to call a harvest. Not enough to call a beginning. He sat there for a long time in the fading light. And, for the first time, for the very first time in 7 years, he thought, maybe my brother was right. Maybe this land will never give back what I have put into it. Maybe I have been a fool. He pressed his hand flat against the dry earth. It felt cold. He left his hand there anyway. The next morning, the oldest woman in the village, a woman named Nora, who had lived on this land longer than anyone, came walking past Samuel's field. She stopped when she saw him sitting at the edge of his land, not working, just sitting. She came and sat beside him without being asked. For a while she said nothing. She just looked at his fields, the way old people look at things, slowly, completely, without rushing. Then she said, "My husband farmed this same valley for 40 years. Do you know what he always said about the 7th year?" Samuel looked at her. He said the 7th year is when the land tests you, not to be cruel, but because it needs to know if you are serious. Anyone can plant in good years. The land has seen 1,000 farmers who came in good years and left when the years turned hard. But the farmer who stays in the 7th year, who presses his hand to cold earth and does not remove it. That is the farmer the land has been waiting for. She stood up, rose. She did not say anything else. She walked back down the road. Samuel looked at his hand pressed against the earth. He had not moved it. That afternoon, Samuel made a decision, rose. Not a dramatic one, not a loud one, just a quiet, mask-tied, unwitnessed decision that nobody would ever write about or applaud. He decided that he would plant again, true. Not because he was certain it would work, not because he had new information, not because the conditions had changed, but because giving up required him to admit that the 7 years meant nothing. And he was not yet ready to believe that. He went back to his small house, rose. He counted what seeds he had left. He sat at his table and made a new plan, smaller than before, more careful, more focused. Instead of trying to plant everything, roads, he chose one corner of his land, the corner with the deepest soil, the corner that caught the most of what little rain came. He would pour everything into that one corner, everything he had, everything he knew, every morning he could give. Just that one corner. The next morning, he began prayer. The weeks that followed were the most testing of Samuel's life. Every morning he rose early. Every morning he worked the corner. Every morning he gave it the best of what he had, and every morning, nothing visible changed. The soil sat there, petted and silent, giving nothing back, rose. His neighbor from 2 farms over, an older man named Gorgohos, had watched Samuel for years. Stopped by one afternoon. He leaned on the fence and watched Samuel working, rose. Still at it, George said, not unkindly, just observing. Still at it, Samuel said. George was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "You know what I think about when I watch you, Samuel? I think about my grandfather. He used to tell us about the bamboo he planted when he was a young man. He watered that bamboo every single day for 4 years, 4 years, and nothing. Just a small shoot that barely changed. People walked past and shook their heads. Even his wife asked him to plant something else, But in the 5th year, in just 6 weeks, that bamboo grew 90 feet tall. My grandfather used to say, it was not doing nothing for 4 years. It was building roots, rose. The kind of roots that make 90 feet possible in 6 weeks. Samuel stopped working. He looked at the corner he had been tending. He thought about roots, invisible roots, going deeper every day, building something underground that no one could see yet. He picked up his tools, and he kept going, 6 weeks after Samuel had poured everything into that one corner, the rains came. Not a little, not a brief shower that teased the dry earth and disappeared. Real rain, 3 days of steady, soaking, generous rain. Samuel stood on his porch and watched it fall. He had not cried in years. He did not cry now, But something moved through him that felt like relief so large. It had no name. When the rain stopped, he walked to his corner, and what he saw made him go very still, Every seed he had planted in those 6 weeks, every carefully placed, carefully believed in seed, had broken through the surface, row after row of small green shoots, pale and fragile and unmistakably alive, pushing up through the wet dark soil. He knelt down. He was not a man who prayed often, but he pressed his hands together, and he stayed there for a long time. Just him and the shoots and the wet earth and the beginning that had finally arrived. 2 weeks later, Nora came walking past again. She stopped at the fence and looked at the corner. The green was unmistakable now. Not a few thin shoots. A real, living room. Growing section of land. She smiled slowly. Samuel came to the fence. "You stayed," she said. "I stayed," he said. She was quiet for a moment, then she said, "Rose, do you know what my husband told me on the last day of his life?" he said. "I have farmed this valley for 40 years. And the only thing I know for certain is this, Rose. The land does not reward effort, it rewards return. Any person can make an effort. Effort is easy. Effort happens once and then stops. But return, coming back every morning, wrote, no matter what the day before gave you, that is what the land has always been waiting for. That is what everything's always been waiting for." She looked at Samuel for a moment, Rose. Then she turned and walked away. Samuel watched her go. Then he turned back to his green corner. Already planning tomorrow morning. Already thinking about what came next. Rose already returned. That season, the first real harvest in 8 years, was not enormous. It would not make Samuel rich. It would not make him famous. True. It would not make the people who had left the valley turn around and come back. But it was real. Genuinely, undeniably real. Rose. When he carried the first basket from his field to his house, walking the same path he had walked empty-handed for 7 years. He stopped halfway. He put the basket down. Rose. He looked back at his field, at the green corner that had become his whole world for the past months. Rose. And he understood something that no one had been able to tell him. Something that can only be understood by living through it. The harvest is not the reward, Rose. The returning is the reward, Prims. Every morning he came back. Every morning he pressed his hands into that stubborn earth and chose to try again. That was not the price he paid for the harvest, Rose. That was the harvest. The basket in his hands was just the proof. That evening, Samuel sat at his table and wrote a letter to his brother in the city. It was a short letter, It said, "Brother, you asked me once why I stayed when everyone left. I did not have an answer then. I think I have one now. I stayed because I had already paid too much to leave. Not money, not effort. I had paid with mornings, 7 years of mornings." And I have learned that mornings are the most valuable currency there is, because once you have spent them, they are gone forever. I could not leave without knowing what all those mornings had been building toward. Now I know they were building me. The land was just where it happened. Your brother, Rude. Samuel. He folded the letter. He put it in his pocket. And then he went to sleep earlier than he had in years. Because tomorrow morning he would be back in the field, friend. And he did not want to waste a single minute of it. In the years that followed, something changed in the valley. Samuel's green corner became a green field. His green field became the most productive land in the whole valley. People began to take notice. Some of the families who had left began to come back. They came to Samuel first, not to ask for money, not to ask him for land, but to ask one question. How did you do it? How did you stay when everyone left? How did you keep going when nothing was growing? And Samuel would always answer the same way. He would take them to the corner of his field where it had all begun. The small, prayerful corner he had poured everything into in his hardest year. And he would say, I did not keep going because I was strong. I kept going because I was not ready to let my mornings mean nothing. Every morning I came here. Every single morning. was a morning I chose to believe something that had not yet proven itself. That is not strength. That is just showing up. Pros. And showing up every day in the place where your hope lives is the only thing that has ever made anything grow. Friends, I want to speak to you directly for one moment. Dreams. Is there something in your life that you have been working on for a long time? Something that has not yet given you anything back? A dream that is still underground. Was a seed that has not yet broken the surface. A corner of your life that you have tended faithfully and that has stayed silent in return. Ruled. I want to tell you what Samuel would tell you if he were here. The silence is not failure. The silence is the roots. Feared him because was. Every day you show up toward the place where your hope lives, even when nothing is growing above the surface. You are building something underground that will one day hold the very thing you are trying to create. True. The bamboo grows 90 feet in 6 weeks, but it spends 4 years first going down. You cannot skip the going down part. No one can, not Samuel. True. Not anyone who ever built anything worth having. But here is the question I want to leave you with. Are you still showing up? Not perfectly, not confidently, not with certainty that it will work. Just, are you still there? Are you still pressing your hand to the cold earth and choosing not to remove it? Because that one quiet act of return is the only thing that stands between where you are and everything you have been working toward. Keep showing up. Keep planting. Keep returning to the place where your hope lives. Even on the mornings when hope feels very small, especially on those mornings. If this story moved something in you, please like this video and share it with one person who is in their 7th year and needs to hear this today. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that do not just make you feel something, but remind you of who you already are. Until next time, show up tomorrow morning. Press your hands into the earth and do not remove them.